All right, pulling out of the driveway. First day back from the winter storms we've had here. And so, going back to school. There's a 1 hour delay this morning. And so, we're going to try to go through these slippery roads, right? And as we get back, so let's recap, right? We've been out for the MLK celebration on Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday were officially teacher work days because we're ending the semester of the quarter, right? And so that was the game plan. Waving at the mother-in-law as we go by. The wife is behind me. She's only, as I said, she's only a mile and a half up here at her middle school. I'm 11.4 miles away. And yeah, that's kind of the audit thing in me, right? Keeping track of the numbers. Got to do a better job of keeping my own numbers, right? But so everybody's back out this morning. Again, I said there's a 1 hour delay for students this morning. Normally there's a 2 hour delay, but what's happening is we've been out since Monday. Again, Monday was MLK. Celebration holiday. Tuesday was a teacher work day, and Wednesday was a teacher work day. It was mandatory. However, then they made that a voluntary work day, and you could call in or work from home depending on what you do. I'm in ISS now, so I don't really reap the benefit of working from home, obviously, right? So, and you can have the opportunity to make up that time by doing sports events, or helping out, or doing something, whatever it is. You make an agreement or follow up with your administrator, right? So that's always an option. I don't do as much as I used to do. When I was in high school those last 2 years, I kept the chains for the football team, right? A few of my students were on the team. One of them made a conference as a freshman. And so he's now over at another high school because they did some redistricting. And that's what's happened. And so right about this point, I say goodbye to the wife. I wave in the back window that she turns off here, and her elementary school is up, like I said, only about a mile and a half from the house. So I continue on, and I take a different route now. It's about 4 miles additional to what a high school was. So, and it's a massive lake, nice countryside view to drive to work in the morning, obviously. And I really like winters because the leaves are off and you can see everything that's going on. So the students, you know, it's about, I think it was 18 degrees. About 18 degrees this morning, or somewhere therein. It's in the low 20s, or teens, actually. So that's why the 1 hour delay. Normally, like I said, there's a 2 hour delay for the students. But, and this will be their first day back, as well as everybody on campus for the most part. My wife says she only had about 5 teachers in the administration on her campus yesterday. And so I was going to go in or do something, but I just called in. And now in my situation, I've got almost 300 plus hours of sick time. I always come to work, right? Now, however, because of my transition from my previous employment, I carried over a lot of those over 300 hours. So the sick and the vacation or comp time is two separate issues. And so when I was a union representative, I used to tell our employees, if you're sick, you know, make sure you're going to the doctor, doing whatever. You're not going on vacation somewhere, right? And then posting it on the internet, right? So that's the deal. So this road's kind of bumpy here. They do a good job of redoing the roads here. This main corridor, however, is kind of rough. So hopefully they'll resurface this one as soon as possible. So this trip, usually what I'm doing in the morning on this drive is I'm listening to Leroy Thompson and or Myron Gold. I've been listening to Leroy Thompson. Actually, I've heard of him years and years ago. Also, with the gentleman, Miles Monroe. But Leroy Thompson is the apostle that talks about money cometh now. I believe, that he and Myron Golden are all individuals who are sincere and or they're teaching scripture that is in the Bible that God wants us to be prosperous, right? And so a lot of people want to call that prosperity preachers, but God said, I come so that you might be prosperous, right? And so, Leroy Thompson also is talking about health. So I think a lot of times what was happening is we've been manipulated into believing different things. And yeah, you've got people out there that's been hustling the church and hustling this congregation's father and son, perhaps. There's a lot more that can be done, but this vow of total poverty and destitute. Now you'll notice a lot of our civil rights leaders are didn't leave here wealthy, right? And so that's the question. At some point, you have to take care of your own, and you're out saving the world, but you're neglecting your own household. And so that's why I get convicted a lot. I've done a lot of volunteer work in schools and working in the community back in Miami for a number of years, putting a whole lot of hours, running for office, doing different things to try to change the condition of the community. But the reward was what, right? And so if you're not taking money, if you're not corrupt, then you're not making a place for yourself. I've never asked any politician for a favor, right? A job, right? Because now they owe me and I owe them, right? So I've been appointed to over a dozen community boards and or oversight committees throughout my career for years, giving volunteer work back to the community. But it hasn't enriched me, right? And that's not the key for it to enrich you, just as the church shouldn't enrich individuals, right? Now, here or there, the teaching of Myron Golden and Leroy Thompson, Money Cometh Now, is an opportunity for us to reevaluate and study the Word of God for our prosperity and our health, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Myron Golden, I like what he said. He said, if you can show me where I've asked anybody for anything, right? Now he's offering, just as this with the lady who had a debt and went to the prophet and said, yeah, what should I do? And he says, go out, collect these jars, and what do you have? Oil, right? There's been a trade and sale of goods and services. And if you have a product or an offer, as Myron Golden would say, then there you have it. That's how you accumulate your wealth. And nobody likes to mention that they're the major characters in the Bible were rich, right? Now we get it twisted about the rich, and going through the eye of a needle and all the other things that go on. But again, this is what schools are now trying to teach students: economics, right? Business, understanding how the system works, and proper money management. Now we all can find ourselves in a hole financially. That's through no real event of your own. You have people who go out and spend lavishly, do different things, do crazy things. And then some people, a sickness may occur, emergency household situations, who knows what it might be. Look at what's happening in California. Look at what happened here in North Carolina, up in the mountains. From Florida, Miami originally, you got these tornadoes, hurricanes, the devastation that goes on, these fires and everything else. One day you have everything, and the next day all of a sudden everything's gone. Now that sunshine is beautiful, right? We got sunny day today. It's coming in from the east there, and this is what I drive into. It's a beautiful North Carolina day. I see a few clouds, scattered clouds in the sky, but normally there's this beautiful North Carolina blue sky, right? That North Carolina blue. So this is the drive to school in the morning. First day back after the MLK and the 2 teacher work days. And so it's a pleasant trip, right? Now I'm doing this morning, giving you this view of the day at work, going back. And things will get a lot. We won't have many days off after this, right? We go into February, March, April, May, and June, and then we go into July, and that's our our summer vacation. Now, again, let me go back to these days out. Because I don't have the vacation time now, we just went on, we had Thanksgiving, and then we had Christmas and New Year's. So I accumulated the 40 hours needed for those since we started in September, right, or August. I accumulated the time that they give you because I don't take unnecessary days off. So I accumulated the vacation time to cover the vacation days that we're not paid for and the holiday, right? During the holiday, we have a certain amount of days that are vacation, and we have a certain amount that are holiday. The holiday are paid holiday vacation day or days, and the vacation days that we accumulate are the ones that we get for our time and that we accumulate each month or each pay period for vacation. And or comp time would be things that you volunteer for or you stay to help out after school. This is what they talk about. A lot of what teachers have to deal with and why they're quitting is because a lot of these extracurricular activities they're not necessarily paid for. Now, administrators, that's a whole nother issue. They come in and they're there hours. They're like doing 50 and 60 hours or more. Although they have, they're being paid as a principal, but they have to be there. And so, even them having to put in as much time as they have to put in during the school year outside of the normal school day is a lot. Is a whole lot. So, it's important to understand that this is how it is. And myself, now that I'm not in the classroom teaching per se, I don't necessarily have to come in for teacher work days. Depending on if we have a mandatory meeting or something like that, then I'll get comp time for it. But now, let's say these last 2 days after the Christmas holiday and New Year's, I don't have any additional vacation time to compensate myself for the days that I can't make it or I can't come in for these teacher work days. So I won't be paid for those days, right? So these are the things that teachers talk about. Now, some teachers, again, they take a lot of time off depending on whatever's going on, and so they may not even have the time. And so you either make it up somehow, and you have to make this time up before the end of that pay period or that week in some instances. So it's a lot. But again, for me, when we came here, our thing was, we just wanted to be Walmart workers. And so we wound up getting into the school system and into state employment, which is a good thing as we go on to finish out our careers. It's enjoyable for us, but again, for the amount of teachers and the work that they have to do. And I've been in the classroom for 2 years, and my wife, she substituted for a number of years before she got an opportunity, and they basically knew that she wasn't necessarily interested in it, but they were like, would you consider becoming a receptionist? And she's like, well, let me talk to my husband about it, we'll see. And so, rather than substituting and going from school to school, gave her stability and going to one school, and it was close to home. It's basically right around the corner, 1.5 miles. It's about the same distance we go to. We'd have to get to Elon University. So we sit in a nice sweet spot here in North Carolina, right off of I-40, and in access. And now we get into, we're crossing over the Har River right about now. And this is the beauty of it, right? And so you see the brine all over the streets, and this is where you find the black ice. And so in another couple miles or so, I'm going to get up here at the light, and this will take us really deep into the more rural area where the middle school is. So this is why we're passing over the Three Governors Bridge right now. Empty bridges have a tendency to freeze over, and black ice is on the ground, on the surface. You have a lot of wipeouts, sleds, and so people drive too fast. And this is why I say again, with the school, students are on the buses clowning around, and hopefully that won't be the case now, with these winter storms, because any sharp, hitting of the brakes might cause you to slip and slide. And then these ravines are real deep here, right? So you go off, and there's no recovery. If you get off what they call the shoulder of the road, you get off on the shoulders, there's no recovery, right? You going to go downhill, right? So again, that beautiful sunshine is up after this week of snow and ice. And it's kind of bright, actually, obviously. So I'll put the visor down a little bit. And now I'm getting out. Now at this point, I'm about 7 miles away from home at this light. And I know this by heart because I keep track of the kind of stuff, right? So I'm about 7 miles at this point from home. And this is where I make the turn off to get into a more rural area as we head north to the middle school, right? So, and this is why it's important. And what I do is we leave early, right? We always leave early, so we get to work. We get able to sit there, pray, do whatever. I listen to, like I said, Leroy Thompson, and I have this drive to work every morning when I'm coming to work, right? And it's peaceful. It gives me time to calm down, get ready for the day, get spiritually charged, and go into the classroom or go into my class and actually, have calmed down, from the journey and settle into where I've got a peace, right? And this helps me before I clock in about 8:15 normally. And so about 7:30, it takes me about 30 minutes to get here. And so I clock in, and then I have the opportunity at about 8:15 to clock in, and then I head over into the cafeteria, as I normally say, where students are coming in for their morning breakfast. So that gives me about 45 minutes to get everything together mentally, do whatever, make it some additional copies, because again, I've got a whole stack of papers that I just went over the other day. And had I came in, because we were going to have a meeting yesterday, but they canceled that for that teacher workday mandatory to a voluntary. I had some paper, I would get comp time for the meeting because it was mandatory, and I had some copies I was going to make for activities, because again, the new year started and there's a new term started, so the grades have gone out. So when we get back now, this is a whole new semester or quarter, and I have work for them to do constantly, right, in case they don't have. Now, these last couple of days before we went on this MLK vacation and 2 days of teachers' work, the term was ending. It ended on the 17th, and so I had a few students that will carry over, obviously, into today and perhaps next Monday coming, because they didn't complete their consequences for misbehaving earlier, right? And it carried over. They don't lose that. So now this is a nice view. I wish I could show it to you. Maybe I'll show you some of it. But windshield's kind of not clean. I do have a cover. My wife bought me a cover a year or two ago, because the truck stays outside the garage, our car is in the garage. And so snow and ice, I don't have to scrape. I already pulled that off this morning, the black cover that covers the windshield to keep it from freezing over, and I don't have to scrape off all this ice. But the sun is now off to my right now for the most part, because I've turned left heading north, right? And so the wood, the leaves off the trees. It's only a 2-lane highway or 2-way roadway, and the speed limit's about 45. And so we got people there flying by, and what happens is you got these shaded areas with these trees, as you see, and that's where the ice doesn't melt, or it freezes over. And that's where the black ice is most prevalent. And so as you hit these corners, and it's very narrow, you hit these streets, you happen to hit a slick spot, you're going to spin out, right? And so now I come up to the first, we cross over one large Haw River, and now these are the lakes. There are about two lake bridges covering. And so these lakes, there's some ice out there, some thin ice on this, out here, and snow still on top there. It's white snow and some thin layers of ice on that section of the lake. So that's one bridge after we hit the main River Bridge. And now we're coming to the second bridge, and again, these bridges are slippery, and this is where the cold air goes underneath and over top. And so there's a lot less. That was a smaller area back there, so there's a lot more ice. There's snow over in that corner sitting on ice, and you can see the thin sheet of ice, right? So that's a dock over there for fishing, but nobody's fishing right now, right? So it's closed for now. It'll open up probably in May or April again. So yeah, it's a nice drive. It's relaxing. I'll be listening to Leroy Thompson going now, and then coming back maybe Myron Golden in the afternoon. So it's a nice, peaceful drive to school every morning, and that's the good part about it. Again, I keep track of these kind of things. It's 11 miles, so I do the gas miles and everything just because. Now, this is my baby. This is the hombre, right? Say hello to my little friend. This is being from Miami and Scarface, right? This is my little friend, my hombre, right? I love this little. What it is an Isuzu, which is a GM that is actually a Chevy S10, right? 1998. I would like to soup this baby up. It's in great condition. I bought it with about 95,000 miles, and this was years and years ago. Now here's a school bus we're approaching now, coming from dropping off perhaps. And so then I'll make this right turn here, and at this point, only about 3 miles away from campus, right? So, and that you hear in the back there, that thump is my last oil change, and I went to O'Reilly to have that, to get disposal of that oil, but they said it was full. Then I went up to Advance Auto, and they said the same thing. So I had it in the back of the truck. It's in a container, so it had ice on it and everything else. So now we're making this right. We crossed over 2 bridges, or actually 3. The Governor's Bridge and these 2 other lake bridges. Now this is the 3rd bridge, because it makes that right and curls back, and that lake is a vast lake back here behind the school. So it's a school, middle school and high school. I'm heading east again. Obviously, you can see the sun back in my face. This lake borders the back of the middle school and the high school, and again, there's an ice and snow pad over there. And so this is a nice trip in the morning going back to school. So this is that, going back for the first time this week. And so I pulled in, and again, it's about 11.4 miles to the middle school now. Additional, I think it was about 6.5 or 6, a little over 6 miles to go to the middle school, to the high school I was at for the last 2 years. And so I get here nice and early, and that way, like I said, I can go in and get settled in, and that'll be up. So I'm gonna break it down for now. I'll go back in and probably set up in the classroom and see you then. See you again. So that was the ride back to school. All right.